So, in the last session, we covered from chapter 4, shloka number 16 to 30. So, we were discussing how Krishna is here, he describes about transcendental knowledge. This whole chapter is about Jnana Yoga. And he also spoke about different yagnas and how Krishna is to be attained from all these yagnas. And by doing yagnas, the main takeaway is our hearts will be purified. So one will rise gradually from the platform of karma yoga to jnana yoga. So when our hearts are purified through these yagnas, we get knowledge. So how we can understand even in our context is that japa yagna is also one of the yagnas. In fact, Krishna says he is japa yagna among all the yagnas. That means japa yagna is best of all the yagnas. So by doing this yagna, nama japa yagna, also, our anarthas in the heart get purified. The rajoguna, tamoguna, basically all anarthas, all sins, whatever you name it, it is all different manifestation of rajoguna and tamoguna. When we are purified of this, our sattva increases, and when we come to this platform of sattva, the more our sattva is increases, the more our understanding of the knowledge will increase. We may be hearing the same Bhagavad Gita, but that is why people after, even though who have been reading for so many years, every time they read, they tend to understand little more and they tend to go deeper because, one who is practicing sadhana and who is getting purified, then he will be able to understand further and further. So, therefore, in the last of the shlokas that we discussed, Krishna recommends that, it could be different, it could be the dravya yagna in which we offer oblations of grains, fruits, and so many other things, or it could be japa yagna, or even yagna in which we offer our breath, that is the pranayama, all that. So when the performer knows the meaning of the sacrifice and he's cleansed of all the sinful reactions, then he will taste the actual nectar of spiritual life, and then he advances further towards the supreme eternal destination. So continuing the 31st shloka, Krishna here says, Nayam lokostya nasya kutonya sattama. Without yagna or sacrifice, one can never live happily, either in this life or the next. Even in this life, we have to perform yagna. Then what to speak of the next life? So this may seem very obvious for people who are from the bygone ages in the who lived life of Vedic culture, but especially for Kali Yuga, it is almost forgotten, this whole concept of yagna. Therefore, for us, Krishna is emphasizing that, because every act should be done for the pleasure of the Lord, as that means that is every act is like a yagna. Whether whatever we eat, it should be offered to the Lord. Whatever we read, it should be about the Lord. Whatever we hear, whatever we see, everything, when it is connected to the Lord, then every act will become uh, an act of sacrifice to the Lord. And therefore, our whole existence will become spiritual and sublime. And so, one who has not performed yagna, that means he has lived a life of complete selfishness and ignorance, and therefore his destination in the next life will surely not be very auspicious. So Krishna says, therefore, all these different types of yagnas which are approved by the Vedas, they are all born. So where are these yagnas coming from? They are coming from different karmas. So karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam gnatva vimokshase. Knowing them as such itself, just by knowing that the yagnas are born from karma, and these karmas are prescribed in the Vedas, we will become liberated. And so because people are of different natures, put into different situations, the Lord and the Vedas, they prescribe different types of sacrifices which will suit different types of people. Because people are very deeply absorbed in their own bodily concept of life. Means mostly people are leading lives because they think they are this body, and everything connected to the body, namely the family, then the society, everything connected to the body will become very important. Nothing else, is really important for them. Therefore, for such people, yagnas are arranged in such a way that one can work either with the body or with the mind or with intelligence. Either ways, either one of these or all of these can be utilized and can be used to work in, for the pleasure of the Lord. And that's why all these are slowly, they purify our lives and bring us to the platform of liberation. Preyam dravyamaya yagna gnana yagna parantapa sarvam karmakhilam partha gnane parisamapyate. So here the Lord is explicitly stating that what is the final benefit of all the sacrifices? Ultimately, all these sacrifices, which could be different types of, being born of different types of karma, they all result or culminate in transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. That means the more we perform yagnas, the more we come to sattva guna, the more we understand that we are not this body, and therefore we will try to lead a pious life, making spiritual activities our priority. Then so among all these yagnas, yes, so we saw a list of different types of yagnas. Then are they all on the same level? No, nothing is of the same level. There we find hierarchy in everything. Some are good, some are better, some are not so good. So even here, Lord is saying the sacrifice which is performed in knowledge, it is better than the sacrifice with mere, possessions. As in, when we generally see yagna means we put all these different articles in the fire. Even better than that is actually Gnana Yagna, the Lord is saying, because ultimately the one has to come to the platform of knowledge through all these sacrifices. But when one directly takes to acquiring knowledge, spiritual knowledge, so the Lord says that is actually the best of all different types of yagnas. So now, so Lord has been talking about the how important and how glorious this whole spiritual knowledge is. One has to come to the platform of spiritual knowledge. Uh, um, then now Lord says, so how do we come to that platform of knowledge? So he says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshante te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So does that mean that we just study the scriptures on our own, or we just uh, keep thinking, oh, this may be the truth, that may be the truth? No, there is a given and recognized process by which we can come to the platform of knowledge. And how is that? Here, the Lord is explaining that only when we approach a spiritual master who is a person in full knowledge, and when we, first of all, we have to serve such great souls, and then we, get a um, qualification to ask them whatever doubts we have. One, when they are pleased with our service, and uh, they will be more inclined, to help us and to clear our doubts. Not just doubts, also by their mercy, the truth will also be revealed to us, both externally and internally. So, upadekshanti te gnanam gnanina tattvadarshinaha. So one can impart knowledge only to the extent that person realizes. They can't teach someone beyond their own, level of realization. So therefore, the most ideal uh, guru will be one who has seen the truth. That's what Krishna is saying here. Tattvadarshi. Who is Tattva? What is Tattva? Tattva means absolute truth, which is Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. One who has seen and realized the Lord, such a person will be on the highest stage of realization, and he can impart us full knowledge because he has himself seen the truth. So, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, yajnatva na punarmoham, evam yashyasi pandava, yena bhutanya sheshani drakshasyatmani athomayi. So, having, once we obtain such spiritual knowledge, if we have really from a self-realized soul, then Krishna is saying, then you will never again, fall into this illusion of Maya. Because once a person has realized the truth, then, there is no looking back for him. Because for this knowledge, by this knowledge, you will be able to see that all living beings are nothing but they're all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Means everything belongs to the Lord. So once we see everything, in truth, in this way, then where is the question of falling down? There is no chance of thinking that, oh, this is mine or that is theirs, and, so to become egoistic or to be in an illusion that I'm the controller or everything or these things belong to me. No, such a person in transcendental knowledge will be able to see clearly that nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. is one thing. So that will make us free from this false ego or false sense of proprietorship. Nirmamo nirahankara. Another thing is when we see that all the beings, uh, they're all actually parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, then we will give up our envy towards all the living beings. And then that's how we will come to a platform of love of God. It is only because of envy we have problems with others, other people or other living entities. But when we see that everything, all living beings are actually parts and parcels of the Lord, there's no question of us offending them. So Krishna now goes on to say that even if you were to be the most sinful of all sinners, but when you're situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over this ocean of miseries. So this is very uh, hope giving for all of us, because Krishna is not saying all this to someone who's already come to a very high level of realization, but he's actually saying that even for the most sinful of the sinners, um, if they are, situated on this boat of transcendental knowledge, they will be able to cross over this material world. And why is that? Because Nahi gnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. He says later on in the same chapter, there is nothing more purifying than the supreme spiritual knowledge. There may be extreme darkness in a room, let's say, which has probably been not lit in many years. Let's say it's like a dungeon somewhere or in an attic. But what does it take to drive away the darkness? Just one light. The moment we turn on the light, all the darkness is gone instantly. Similarly, the minute this Gnana Deepa in our heart is lit, when there is a lamp of knowledge is lit in our hearts, all the darkness of sins or all sorts of aparadhas or whatever we have committed, which is compared to very deep darkness because of it being in tamoguna, everything is gone. Therefore, we don't have to worry at all. Krishna is saying, when we are situated in the boat of this knowledge. So in the next shloka, that's what he's clarifying. So why he says, when he says something and he will immediately say, because as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. I just gave an example of how light will drive away all darkness. In other words, now Krishna is saying um, how fire will turn. We may mm, pile up tons and tons of firewood, but it doesn't take much for the fire to burn it all down, into ashes. Similarly, when the fire of knowledge is blazing in our heart, that will also burn all these mountains and mountains of all our previous karmas. Immediately it will be burnt down. Now he's saying, therefore, nahi gnanena sadrisham pavitrameha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha kalenatmani vindati. Therefore, there is nothing more sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. So, all different paths of yoga practices finally, they all have to culminate in this knowledge. Now, one may ask, are we contradicting here? Because we keep saying bhakti is the highest. Now, why is Krishna saying knowledge is the highest? Well, actually, Ramanujacharya has given a very nice clarification. He says bhakti is also a kind of knowledge, right? Bhakti is also a kind of a knowledge, because without knowledge, there is no bhakti. So, what our acharyas talk about knowledge, which is uh, a part of bhakti, that is very good. But often we see Srila Prabhupada condemning the impersonal knowledge. That is contrary to bhakti. Thinking that Lord is just energy, he has no form, and we are all God. This is all atheistic knowledge. So that is not good, impersonal knowledge. So therefore, ultimately, when there is, of course, Gnana and Vairagya, Srimad Bhagavatam says, they are both different parts of bhakti. In fact, in some of the Puranas, there is also a story wherein it relates that, Bhakti Devi, she's the mother of, and she has two sons. One is Gnana and another is Vairagya. Knowledge and detachment are the two sons of Bhakti Devi. That means when bhakti arises, knowledge and detachment automatically arises in the heart. So this knowledge is also, it's part of bhakti. So all different types of yogas. So, that means yoga means we are trying to connect to the Lord, and in a regulated way, when we are observing different types of rules and regulations and following the process of sadhana, then what happens? Then we gradually come to the platform of Sattva-guna. When we come to Sattva-guna, that means that is platform of knowledge. So all different processes are geared so that jivas come to the platform of Sattva Guna, so they can perceive knowledge of the soul, and then knowledge of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, Krishna says here, because knowledge is a mature fruit of all these different processes. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service or bhakti, tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena atmani vindati. One who has become, accomplished in bhakti, he enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So this is natural because in any form of practice, it could be practice of art, it could be practice of writing, or any kind of a skill. When we keep practicing, over time we become expert. So similarly, bhakti yoga also, when we keep practicing over time, of course, bhakti yoga is not mechanical like the other skills. Bhakti yoga needs both faith, devotion and knowledge. So what happens is, over time, we enjoy the nectar, or the knowledge within. So what is that knowledge within Krishna keeps talking about? It is this knowledge of the spirit soul and knowledge of our relationship with the Lord. So one who comes to the platform of self-realization, he relishes that nectar of this knowledge of the Supreme Lord and his self-knowledge of the spirit soul. Therefore, he says, a faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses, that means one who controls his senses, is eligible to achieve such knowledge. and having achieved it, quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So, immediately a question may arise, how can one get such a knowledge? So, Krishna is immediately making it very clear that, as I said earlier, it takes two things. One is faith, Shraddha. One who has, he has to have faith, because Bhakti Yoga is not mechanical. So, with faith, one who practices. And secondly, there has to be yoga, that means practice of detachment, knowledge and detachment. Detachment means, in other words, control of senses. That we can't keep um, unrestrictedly enjoying material sense enjoyment. At the same time, we cannot think that we will become very elevated in spiritual life. So both are required. So, control of senses, that means to practice these regulative principles and to also have faith. Then, for such a dedicated person, this knowledge will be revealed. And one who has attained that knowledge, he becomes very, very peaceful. This Krishna talks about later on. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati. So, one who comes to this kind of spiritual knowledge, the platform of spiritual knowledge, it's called the Brahma Bhuta platform, or the knowledge of the spirit soul. When one who comes to that platform, he will be very, very happy, because then now he has no more cares or anxiety for anything. Mm. Because spiritual platform is a platform of complete bliss and knowledge. Why? Because he's free from any kind of lamentation or hankering. Na shochati, na kankshati. Immediately we can understand that the effects of Rajoguna and Tamoguna now cease to exist in that person. Why? Because the very characteristic of one who is in Rajoguna means he's very greedy. He's never satisfied. He's always hankering of after something or the other, and his desires are never satisfied. So that is hankering that comes from Rajoguna. And one in Tamoguna, he's always lamenting of having lost something or having not gotten something. So that is always lamentation is always in the mode of Tamoguna. So one who is free from both, he has no more anxiety or no more cares. So therefore, he will become very, very peaceful. But one who is ignorant, who has neither knowledge of all this, nor has he any faith. Uh, Means faithless persons means what? They have no faith in the scriptures or Shastra. They will never attain the Lord, and they will eventually fall down. For such a doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. Therefore, faith is very, very important. It's really a very foundation of spiritual practice. Any spiritual practice, especially bhakti, is faith. That's why acharyas talk about different stages in which bhakti grows, develops. First is Adav Shraddha. First of all, we should have faith. And the same faith, as bhakti progresses, same faith will become deeper and stronger and stronger. And finally, that same faith will actually witness, it will see that now whatever faith we had, now at the perfectional stage, the jiva, he will be able to see it life. So now we may be hearing with faith that, oh, Krishna looks like this, and Goloka looks like this. But one who has come to the stage of perfection, he actually is able to see the Lord face to face. So therefore, one who has no faith or knowledge, and who has that means no faith in the revealed scriptures, they can never attain the Lord, or they can never attain bhakti, and they fall down. Because Krishna says, for such a doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So this is a very, very unfortunate situation for people who fail to develop faith. Nayam lokosti naparo nasukham samshayat. Krishna is saying, neither in this life nor in next life there is any happiness for such people, because they're always doubting. So, when we have faith, that means uh, we are holding on to this uh, anchor of knowledge. Otherwise, so when it's like a boat which is anchored, it will be safe. How much ever the wind blows, it will be safe. But then, if there is no anchor, no matter how big the boat or the ship is, uh, you know, a strong wind or gust of wind can just take it here or there, and it may get wrecked. So similarly, there is no hope for such people who have no faith. And so Krishna says, therefore, yoga sanyasta karmanam nana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya. Therefore, one who acts in yoga or devotional service, one who is always connected to the Lord, by giving up his selfish sense enjoyment, and by offering everything, whatever he does to the Lord, and one whose doubts have been destroyed because of spiritual knowledge. So one who has already finished, who is done with all these doubts and questions, because in the initial stages, we have doubts, which is good. We have questions. But once we have realized the knowledge, once we have seen the truth, then once we have realized, then all our doubts will be gone. So therefore, such a person will be actually situated in his own self. And therefore, he is no more now bound by his karma. Now he is free from all reactions of karma. Atmavantam na karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya. So all this knowledge will cut the different knots of our karmic reactions. Therefore, Krishna says, "O Arjuna, you should also slash all the doubts that have arisen in your heart. How? By the sword of this knowledge. So, by gaining knowledge, all our doubts will be gone, all our different misgivings or anxieties, everything will be gone. And Arjuna, having gotten this knowledge, now you don't uh, give in to all this confusion. Therefore, you stand and fight." So here this ends the chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, while concluding, the Lord is finally he's saying, don't think that because Arjuna had started off by asking the question in the third chapter, which is better? Uh, Giving up work, renouncing work, that means just getting knowledge, gaining knowledge, and not working, or to work in devotion. So now Krishna has again come back to this point. Yes, you uh, develop all this knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and cut all the doubts in your heart, whichever you were getting, right? And by using this knowledge and by removing all your doubts and by coming out of this ignorance, now you stand and fight. So, which is working in devotion. So, therefore, knowledge is also good, but that doesn't mean we have to give up our seva. So, by gaining knowledge, one should become more strong in one's seva, because that will help us become better situated, and we can perform seva better off. All right. And here, any questions?